Okay, we're testing. We're testing. We're checking. Are we back? Are we back? I guess we'll find out. Are we back is the question. Are we back? I'm seeing some of the chats. Might have to get rid of this window and try another. Are we back? That sucks. I just burn a good thumbnail for for no reason. Hopefully we're back now. I'm just getting annoyed, dude. I'm getting annoyed and not understanding the what's going on with some of these streams. Yeah, I think honestly I might just save offensively accurate only for YouTube. Okay, we're back. Okay, cool, good. Okay, good. Dude, that was so annoying. Um, I do appreciate. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you greatly. I missed the one from Josh actually, so I'm gonna go back to this one. So forgive me, but I still have it.
Joshua
Actually,
8391 has donated $4.99 and says Wignat Cope has been tolerated. Now it will be punished.
Yes, it has to be. It's the only way. And yeah, so yes, I will be taking on Zeb. I believe the basis of the debate is going to be specifically about the leadership. Who is the leader of America First? This concept of America First, the overall kind of arguments that have gone in between, like, I would imagine we're going to also entertain the Casey Push element. We're probably going to also entertain the Dan Bilzerian element. And I have a lot to say. I'll lay some of it out of where I'm kind of thinking right now based off of what Zeb has reposted and pushed for him. And some of the comments he's made, even on the timeline. So we are going to make some, I'll make some comments here. But the overall is just I just can't believe it. I'm kind of shocked, to be honest with you, that this is the direction that it's gone. And so America First United is actually America First Divided. And that's not the only thing. So also tomorrow I'm going to be gone for the majority of the morning of the day in the beginning, but actually later on in the day, I will be taking part. It should be at 7 p.m. Eastern. It'll be a panel stream, and it'll also be featuring Tom Foe, but I will be there. It'll be me, Tom Foe, Rhetorically Defective, and Focus Trip. And what's kind of caught me off guard a little bit is that Focus Trip has just been going at Nick constantly today. And so I found that pretty intriguing because this is somebody sent me a video of Verillium, so he covered Verillium. Many people have been actually commenting that and suggesting that I go follow and see what he said about Verillium, see what his takes were. And now it's kind of curious because me and Tom have been like linked on X here lately. We've been liking, reposting each other, been like bar for bar, we've been like lockstep together. So to be curious to see how this will play out with Rhetorically Defective, because as he's even streaming right now, and I think he's been going off on Nick. I forget what the title of it was, but I guess his argument against Nick is that he's like not a natalist or something to that effect. I guess that seems to be what he's going with, and he's a fatalist. I'm not really sure what that even is supposed to mean, to be quite fair with you. But well, I guess we'll see more. We'll have a bit of a discussion. Maybe it'll turn into an argument on Focus Trip stream tomorrow. But catch that tomorrow. Focus Trip. It'll be on his channel, I do believe, at 7 p.m. Eastern. I won't be here on Monday. That's Mother's Day. Make sure you guys also spend time with your mothers or honoring your mother if she's no longer here. And if that's the case, I do feel sorry for you. And I wish you the best. It's not an easy thing to deal with. Beyond that, on Monday, I should be appearing on Tyler Russell's Future Nation. I will get a time to you when I have a better idea of when that will be, but it should be. And it should be during his stream, so his typical streaming hours. And I won't be able to do it until at least around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., so it'll be a little bit after that. So probably at the back half of Tyler's stream. And then on Tuesday is when the debate happens between me and, it'll be me and Tom versus Zeb and somebody else. And then potentially, and hopefully so, Raymond Thoughts and Minds, I'm trying to get a hold of him to be able to actually get a stream going together, whether it's on his channel or mine, I really don't care. But I'd like to get a hold of Ray again as well. He's been in a different realm a little bit, which is kind of funny. You guys have probably been seeing this in the peripheral just happening because it's kind of another like drama story, their cultural story. but it's everything happening with the quartering and, Jeremy, and what's her name? Melanie Mack, Chrissy Meyer, Brittany Venti, all these different individuals. And so we'll see. Maybe you can catch me up on everything that's been happening there, because it does look like the quartering and a few other people who are close to the quartering have basically been leading the charge in getting a lot of these channels flagged and taken off of YouTube. Now, I don't know the whole lore there, and I won't throw any accusations, but I've seen Chrissy Meyer's name floated a bunch in relation to that, and I've been seeing it coming from the quartering as well. And everybody kind of knows how I feel about Mr. Quarter Pounder, but that's another element to explore. Maybe we'll talk about that with Raymond. But to get back to the news, we will cover the article that came out of the New York Times. And the New York Times wrote an article essentially, how do we have a movement without having the person who made the movement? This article showed a bit about Amy Dangerfield that I think has ultimately kind of burnt the bridge for her and Nick, probably forever. And I think it does show you and give a little bit of insight into her intentions with what she was planning to do with America First United. It's also curious that the headline, the cover photo of the article, actually does have what's it called? Casey Push's photo in there. And yes, I can see super chats. You might have missed it if you were on the other stream. I saw yours, SSRT. Let me pull yours up again. I do appreciate it greatly. Thank you. Sorry if you missed that at all. I do appreciate it very much. And we have Zeb in here. It'll be perfect. It'll be perfect, actually. Wonderful. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You've come back for more. Very funny. And yeah. So we'll be covering a bunch of this stuff. And one of the other things, too, Dalton Clodfelter actually had a gem, which was, I wasn't expecting it. Dalton Clodfelter, I think, has had a bit of a, I don't really speak on it. Well, I guess we'll just deal with these people in the current. But Dalton Clodfelter had actually like a gem on political strategy. And so this I thought was amazing. And so I wanted to cover that on his post there. We talked about the element of this being a coordinated attack. Nick also has now moved some of this information into the mainstream. I was hesitant on even talking about it at all, because a lot of what he was saying, a lot of what I'd heard and been looking at in the last couple of hours actually was stuff that was coming out of the $100 group chat. And those would be a little bit of a shameless plug. But if you have the ability to be in there and you have the money and it's, you're really well off, I would definitely encourage you to go in there, because a lot of extra content, a lot of extra insight from him that you don't get from his posts or from his show is available in there. And if anything, I'll be honest with you, it's provided me a lot more of a realistic insight to what he actually is thinking and feeling. And so it gives me, for one, if I'm trying to cover or disseminate some position, it's much easier to have all of his extra voice messages in there. And so shameless plug for that. But what he was talking about in there was about his first meeting with Dan Bilzerian.
CB Boykin has donated $19.99 and says, "Gimme the crown. I'm number one."
It's funny because some of the memes, and shout out to Mr. Moss as well. He's been pumping them out, putting them in the Discord. I felt bad. I already took the one. I think I took one of them that he had and posted it already. I didn't want to take more. I told him, I was like, you got to post these. Zeb will definitely appreciate them. But thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate that. And this is kind of I think this is kind of where we're going to be. This is where the debate will be met, which is about, is this even a possible thing? I would say no. I would say there is a very clear leader of America First. Very specifically, there is a leader of America First. And we'll explore a bit more of that as we get into it. But I did want to say, with this coordinated attack, I think I lost my train of thought where I was going, to be honest with you. The other element with Dan Bilzerian, though, I wanted to cover specifically about some of the actual inside ball game of what's going on with what Randy Fine's district looks like, and exploring this and exploring again on a lot of the same elements that the reason why Casey was not given the kind of the knighting, if you will, or the honor, if you will. And it's clear as day. To me, some of this stuff is super obvious. I think a lot of it, to me, does feel very, very bad faith. And ultimately, like I said the other stream, I am more convinced now that Nick is in the right. And if anything, I feel like what's ongoing out on the outside is making me feel like these people are on a fast track to wanting to get the censorship. It's like, what's going on right now, the comments, the constant, the pushes for violence, what feels like, and I've commented on this, what feels like the LARPing as well too. It feels extremely like an operation. And I know this is like calling the kettle calling the pot black, whatever, because they're obviously saying the other way around. But to me, it's like when you're pushing for these things, and the leaders of all of this are people like Jake Shields and Dan Bilzerian, and they push for like, Jews bad, like, not to be super facetious, but it's like, Jews bad, I love Hitler, Jews bad, swastika on my arm, Jews bad, I love Hitler. It's like that to me is like you're trying to purposely get people banned forever. It's like you're trying to encourage the ban hammer from YouTube and X and all these other sources. It's like you're giving these people fodder with such with and especially too when you're just looking at how the average person would perceive this. They're going to be doing things like reporting it and going, "Oh no, clutching their pearls." And it's not me saying I think that's the correct response to it, but it's with the obvious and I think very easy assumption and observation that the average person like doesn't have a way to interact with this. And you think of this in the sense of how many years have we sat here and talked about the social institutions and the indoctrination and the brainwashing that's gone on that many people are products of the government without even realizing it. Many of these people, and a vast majority of them, actually have these kind of defensive social muscle memory reflexes to different elements and items being said. And so when this occurs, what you end up happening, it's funny is Hook's doing the whole Sam Hyde, the Constitution. That's lovely, man. You should wave that. You should wave that in Barry Weiss's face and see if she gives a fuck. The principle, though, is like this idea that when you're pushing all this speech out there, the average person, think of the average black woman. The average black woman, when they see, Jews this, blacks this, their immediate assumption is like this person's a hateful Nazi. It's like that's a reflex they have. And this isn't just black people. This isn't just leftists. We're talking about normies as well. We're talking about normal, regular people as well. Like they have this reaction. And so my overwhelming feeling when I'm seeing all this discourse happen is it's like, do any of these people actually speak to other human beings? Because I'm somebody, as much as Nick says, don't red pill, but don't red pill. Like, okay, for one, like I've been doing politics for a while, so I've been involved in a lot of these conversations. And even on basic elements of like Indian and immigration, people are quick to react to like, well, I don't want to be racist. Well, no, I don't want to be racist. And it's like, we're just talking about H-1Bs. And then on the flip sides, you have this continual push. And again, it's to me, it's just nothing but a LARP. This continual push of like, we're just all of a sudden just going to get violent and we're going to overtake and we're going to organize. What are you talking about? And forgive my language, and I'll be very clear here. What the fuck are you talking about? The same people who push this shit are the same ones who can't even get their wives under control, half of them aren't even married. And it's the same argument back. And I hope Zebs is still here, because the thing that I was extremely disappointed in was watching, I don't know if it was the Dan Bilzerian account or if it was the For Congress account, but it was one of those from Dan Bilzerian. And it's them quoting something about, I built this house. I was a carpenter. Are we seriously taking Gates Garcia takes now? The same fucking guy who we clown for writing ChatGPT articles, you're going to use his same exact argument now that it's beneficial. Now we're on the same side of like everyone who's a dissident right, anyone who believes in the far right ideals is like they live in their basement. Like, what the hell are we fucking doing? And forgive my language, but like when I see somebody reposting something that could have literally be written and posted and said by Gates Garcia, I am seriously questioning where your political acumen is coming from. Going back, like that's Laura Loomer type shit. Oh, everyone, you disagree with me? You must live in your basement. Like, holy fucking shit. And so I see that from Dan Bilzerian, and it's like, it's just so insane, dude. It is absolutely insane. Now we've moved back to anybody who likes Nick or anybody who watches Nick or anybody who agrees with Nick is now ineffective.
Mitchell Black ST2KR has donated $4.99 and says we need to be conscious of that fact that it's profitable to be America first right now, and people like Beryllium and possibly Fishback are cashing in.
Well, I think this is kind of I think this is kind of why you're seeing the reaction. And I do agree. This is something that people have been attaching themselves to. There is truth in this. There is truth in the fact that America First and being anti-Israel is kind of that is the punk kind of scene right now. That's the broad overall punk scene. And Beryllium, I would say, I think is ultimately indefinitely taking advantage of that. I think he is trying to exploit that. And I think Beardson called him out for this as well too. I think that you can see this in the way between the text of Amy Dangerfield, the way they did the video responses, the way that Beryllium had a live stream. I'm leaving the right, and then he's unlisting it already and taking it down. Now, what I would be curious to see is Rhetorically Defective said that he downloaded that stream. And so he said that he might even react to it publicly. And perhaps that's what the live stream is right now, that a lot of people are watching. So perhaps that's the case. But again, of course it's true. They all, and this is also part of the reason why they need Nick to not be hostile towards them. They want to take advantage of this. And so when you see this kind of infighting, for one, it's a lot of content. It's a lot of, drama and things to make a lot of, a lot of, videos and different, streams and stuff about. But that's why they want him to be friendly. That's why they have so overwhelmingly been massaging and been around him and like glazing him. And the moment that he won't co-sign what they're pushing, it's knives out. It's like almost instantly these people have been turned back or reverted into something that they previously weren't. And so, I think that there's going to be obviously some low level mudflinging occurring, especially during periods like this. I don't want to get into that too much per se. But I was just the direction the discourse has just gone completely off the rails. And yes, Froyum, we covered that yesterday. He did delete content. I caught it only by chance because there's an account on X that's called Stop Amalek or something like that. And they posted a screen grab of his thumbnail. And I literally bookmarked that tweet because I was like, oh, I'll step in and see what he had to say. Because he posted this big live stream, I'm leaving the right, in big red letters, I'm leaving the right. And you can only assume he's posting this because he's spiraling with the way that he's receiving all the feedback and the backlash for being involved in America First United. But then he deletes it. So it's like, what was said there that you didn't want people to see? Is there an element of that that's involved there? And Seb says it's in the name. William's always deleting stuff. That's funny. And maybe he is. More than likely he is. I'm not going to defend him. I'm not anybody else's keeper but myself. And let's just be honest. And so the overall, the overall scene is just like reacting at large with this. And so now that they don't have it, and if anything, here's the thing. You know what William's been doing all day today? William's been tweeting, and this is why Beardson's been going at him. Beardson's saying, you're lying. Why would you lie about this? Why are you saying this? Why are you pushing this? And what you're seeing is William's trying to say things along the lines of, well, this is why I didn't get interviewed by the New York Times. And it's like he's trying now now it's not that he's leaving the right. Now he's coming back to the scene and saying, no, hold on. This is why I didn't do what the other people did. This is why I wasn't as outspoken. And no one's buying it. And now it does come across just like it's all a big grift. You're just trying to find what thing can you say that will possibly keep you from getting the scathing backlash of that is which the groypers. So a lot to get into. Also, make sure you smash the like button since we are on a new stream now. I probably lost a bunch of likes that I would have had on the last one. So please make sure you smash the like button. It helps tremendously. On top of it, you can support me at buymeacoffee.com/AtlasThugged, or you can send in a super chat, which way you would like to support. I appreciate all of it. Thank you very much for that. You guys know that. And also shout out to our sponsor, Athenor Metallurgy. You guys want any kind of 3D custom print, whether it is a light box like you can see, not really see, but trust me, it's there somewhere back there. Trust me, I promise it's back there. As well as custom 3D prints, just like what you see here in my hand. They can do a lot of signs, a lot of very, very cool kind of tokens that they did. They did plenty of different coins for NAV. They sent me as well, like Jerusalem Cross themed coins as well. We also have an idea coming up of golden end passes. Well, you don't even have to be like Chud. You don't have to cause a scene. When a black person says, why did you just drop the N-word? You pull it out, you have a gold plated end pass, and you say, no, I got mine. where's yours? So it's just like an idea that I had, and I'd be curious to see where it would go, to be honest with them. And so I like looks like Zeb found the emoji. That's hilarious. That's funny. That's awesome. Glad that Zeb found the emoji. So I wanted to react to a couple of things as well too. So it's going to be on the front half, we're going to cover a bit more of the news items, typical offensively accurate stuff, and on the back half, I want to react to a few different things. Some of those things being Tucker Carlson's statements. Tucker Carlson also interviewed Tyler Oliveira. I don't know if you guys saw this as well, but Tyler Oliveira actually called out Tucker on Nick, and Tucker backtracked on attacking Nick, which was based. Shout out to Tyler Oliveira. He is much more clearly, I think, the organic version of his counterpart, Nick Shirley, who just so happened to be in Cuba the other day. Surprise, surprise. Being reposted by, I think, Laura Loomer. And maybe also being reposted by Elon Musk. And I think also being, curious. What is that? What is that? And so we'll cover a good bit of that. Also, the aliens. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I've barely paid any attention to it. Aliens, UFOs. Look here, look there, look literally anywhere besides the fact that the Iran war has started once again. And, some people will tell you the ceasefire is still in effect. Don't listen to that BS because it is not. The Iran war has started once again. We are in, again, the same position. Just to give you a little bit of an update, we are in the exact same position as we have been for weeks. Only this time, the firing has started again. And where we are, it's, again, the administration has nowhere to go to be able to save face and be able to even say anything was a victory. So far, the negotiations go back to being about opening the Strait of Hormuz. They continually say and are not approaching the conversation on the nuclear enrichment, on the enrichment. Overall, the process, who's going to hold it? And so, unfortunately, the Iran war is now back in being featured. And I think in addition to that, there's been some crazy similarities with that. And I believe it was Peter Doocy, who was a notoriously popular journalist. I don't know if he's with Fox News or who he's with. During the Biden administration, he was considered the only person willing to ask even the slightest bit of a tough question during the Biden administration. And Peter Doocy had a phase one Epstein binders moment. And I'm not even joking you. There's a clip and like a little video, and it's like the picture's the same thing. And Peter Doocy's holding like this flash drive or some kind of disk drive, something to that effect. I have the aliens. They gave me the alien key. We're going to look at the aliens. It's like, I have the binder. It's the same exact thing. And so there have been some wild videos that have come out about that. I won't really cover or look at any of those. What I will take a look at, and I've not watched this yet, but Alex Jones calls bullshit on the aliens. So I wanted to see what Alex Jones' take was there. Alex Jones also got boosted by RT, which again, Russia Times, RT, whatever you want to call it. Quote, he says, is there a possibility that Israel nukes the United States and then blames it on Iran? So we'll take a look at that as well, too. And then I also caught this. I didn't watch the clip, so I don't know if it's true or not, but I just read the caption of it. And apparently Elijah Schaffer and Nick Fuentes are planning on coordinating an event in Texas. So I'm sure we're going to have to take a look at it. And make sure we don't again, as much as me and Zeb might disagree, let's not crash out and become insane. We've already had to get rid of enough of Zeb's friends. let's keep it cordial. Always share your opinions. Obviously, I wouldn't say don't do that, but don't spam people and don't be excruciatingly annoying. And Hook, you're generally good, man. So don't push it. This is it. We're in, tensions are high. Okay, listen, dude. If we don't decide by midnight tonight who the leader of America First is, it's over. So I understand the stakes are super high. If we don't pick a leader by tonight, I mean, like, we're all facing the wall. And so, dude, understandably, we're all terrified. But let's be real. Let's raise our eyes to Jesus. Let's not crash out. Let's actually be reasonable. And I know some of you might disagree with me. That's fine.
Mitchell Black ST2KR has donated $1.99 and says Aryan card when.
Aryan card when. I don't know. If you ask some people, I think that they would say I never had one. Unfortunately. My black card's right here. No, just kidding. Just kidding. But appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you very much. And, uh, and Uncle House says what was revealed was Turkmenistan UFO studies was a USAID op to spread Soros propaganda. And you know what's crazy? From the beginning, it seems like UFOs have been a prop used to fearmonger. And one of the things that kind of blew me
Mitchell
away, I
Black
heard this.
ST2KR has donated $1.99 and says Atlas and Hook VSZEB LOL.
I don't listen. I appreciate the super chat again. I don't know if Hook even agrees with me. I'm kind of curious if Hook's disagreeing with me and Zeb. It's like I don't. What is the position? Because if I see more comments from Hook, I'll take a look at them. And yeah, JR Jr. says been busy at work today. What's all the Graper drama about? Yeah. So with the UFOs though, what I was going to get at with the UFOs, and I caught this from Joe Rogan, and so maybe this is a story you guys haven't heard. Maybe you don't know this, but during the Cold War, one of the things that they did, and there's a longer process, and I believe it was talked about by the same lady who talks very in depth about Operation Paperclip. And so far, and I'm kind of paraphrasing the story here, but essentially one way that they tried to fearmonger among the USSR was they did some kind of crazy like skin grafting experiments to I do believe it was like either autistic or Down syndrome individuals, and they were made to look like aliens. And so it's like the United States put these people, would like launch them into like certain things. They would crash certain like kind of like UFO things in the USSR, even if they didn't have people inside of them. And it was done in an attempt to like fearmonger during like the space race. And so I'm kind of very loosely explaining that story, but just understand that UFOs have been long been viewed as something like this. I believe it's Edward Van Braun has the famous quote, which is the last thing that they will reveal. The last, something to the effect of like the last trick that they have up their sleeve is the aliens or UFOs. And once they reveal that, understand, and even that is like fake. Something to that effect. He's got a great quote. I butchered it like crazy. So, but just let you a little bit of an insight there. There is some craziness with it.
4029 has donated $4.99 and says clandestine Air Force counterintelligence op, deception indicating warnings project drugged Americans to fake UFO abductions.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like some crazy like backstories to this. And I think it shows you just like how deep a lot of this kind of goes, and just how it kind of eats away. And I think the longer I've been into politics, the less I really had to engage with this. But I think even for a lot of people who are outside of politics, they have to, what they engage with, and one of the first like humps they have to get over, pause, is they have to get over that hump, which is this kind of beat in idea that is, no, there could never be anything at a large scale orchestrated, because surely somebody would spill the marbles. And this is a kind of a browbeaten ideal into people, the same way egalitarianism is browbeaten into people. You even halfway attempt to pose something is like two entities that are similar and one may be inferior to the other. I mean, it's Knives Out. How dare you say that? You awful person, you hateful bigot, etc., etc. All of these things like that. So there's a bunch of different elements like that. So getting into the actual article, though, I'll cover this. I feel like I'm jumping all over the place. I don't mean to be, but all of it's kind of all loosely related to each other, and interesting. Listen. Let's not fight each other. Let's not. It's all love. It's peace. We love each other. I smack Zeb on his ass. He smacks me on mine. It's just the way it is. This is how we do. This is how we do it. I will say, Tix, I saw Hook's like 5 messages in a row. So I don't know. You can talk to me about it afterwards if it's an issue. Moving away from that, though, gentlemen. So let's get into actually stories here. The article from the New York Times, and so I got the article from House, and again, the House always wins. We know that. That's just the way it works here. The House always wins. So we sent in this article. I didn't even realize that's where the article was coming from, but I saw some snippets on X earlier, and I was like, holy crap. And so going back to the concept of Amy Dangerfield has permanently burnt this bridge, And I think because this permanent bridge has been burnt, or the bridge has been burnt permanently, forgive me, she's going to have to attach herself to Dan. She's going to have to attach herself to probably Beryllium, even though they went back and forth with each other and lied with each other. She's probably going to have to attach herself with all the people who are in this kind of outer ring. America First, the Evan Kilgores, the Morgan Ariels, that's more than likely where she's going to have to be. So we'll get to that part because at the very end of the article finishes strongly. So let me read you one of these snippets here. And the article immediately is poking fun. So almost the way it kind of looks at it is the New York Times did their best to make as much fun as possible as they could of the event. And I think largely because the New York Times is a left-leaning organization. I mean, every organization is left-leaning until it's not. Let me read you the snippet here. This is one of the first snippets. And so they're talking about how trashy some of it was. Let me read you this. The New York Times, quote, "Its guests skewed young and male, dressed in their Sunday best suits and loafers. This style was accessorized with America First hats, cross necklaces, and a few diamond-studded earrings. One attendee in his early 20s carried a copy of Patrick J. Buchanan's 2001 book, The Death of the West." And it's almost as if they are writing it out like, look at all these people wearing America First as an accessory. It's like that's how it's kind of opening up. Like, look at all the iconography here. Look at all, they brought all their bells and whistles, but you know what's missing? Nick Fuentes. And that's what the headline of the article is. The headline of the article actually poses a question, which is to say, can there be America First without Nick Fuentes? I don't think that's what the article says, but it's something to that effect. It's something like that. And so the next paragraph, I'll move on here. It says, some of these young MAGA dissidents sipped Celsius and Monster energy drinks. Was Zeb there with the Celsius? While others popped Zen, scanning social media and monitoring group chats. Now, this is one of the best parts. In parentheses, in the men's bathroom, the crushed remains of what appeared to be Adderall dusted the ledge of a toilet paper dispenser. And you want to know what really is like defeating is not only is it just a bad look in general to have two guys who I believe to be good speakers, and it doesn't mean I agree with them completely, but Joel Webman and even Calvin Robinson to a certain degree are now like roped in with people who are doing Adderall off of like the bathroom sink at some unnamed, unspecified location in Columbus, Ohio. It's like that's miserable. That's trashy. That's not what we want. Whoever did that needs to forever excuse themselves from the movement. And this is why America First can't even leave the bounds of Christian. It just can't. Like, I don't want this weird secular version of America First. I don't want the libertarian version of America First. I don't want the progressive version of America First. I want the Christian, the actual version. That's the true form. That's the true flavor. That's the original flavor. Hey, throwback flavor. America First Nitro, right? Dude. Also, I saw Siggy posting about this too, dude. Pepsi Nitro is golden, and I have no idea why they got rid of it. I'll just throw that out there, by the way. And this is just like, forget about the tent even being opened up to the left. I don't even know how you can open up to the tent to anybody to the right of us. It instantly gets undone by what degeneracy exists on both the left and the right. And you just go like, how do you even move away from that? And how is it so wide open? How is it so obvious that the New York Times is picking it up? And so I only have the thought process that clearly somebody from the New York Times was invited before as a person to be at the event, because there's no way they have all this information and they weren't actually there themselves. So it would be curious to know who was that person from the New York Times. And if anything, it was an invite only event. You can't just like show up. So I would imagine that Amy Dangerfield probably invited this person herself for the extra publicity. I mean, if it wasn't Amy Dangerfield, then who else? Who else is inviting this? Who else is orchestrating this? Was it Casey Pudge? You know, there's talk that he was helping organize behind the scenes on this too. Regardless, that's like how it opens. So it doesn't even open strong. It opens like, and look at these degens. Look at all this. Look at this. All this Adderall crushed in the bathroom. I'm gonna go rip some Adderall because I can't give an America First speech without. I can't soberly do that. And it's like, And I would imagine a
Michael
lot of these
Crawford
people.
5650 has donated $9.99 and says gas is $5 a gallon and NS are talking about aliens.
I know. Well, it's higher than 5 in certain areas. I drove past somewhere and it was like 504. We broke the $5 amount, and I wasn't expecting that in Ohio. Ohio typically is a little, oil proof from some of that. Apparently not. I think Owen Schroyer posted it was like 569 or somewhere there in Texas. Good luck, everybody. Good luck, everybody. Good luck, everybody. Okay, I turn left now. Good luck, everybody. That's one of my favorite, memes. But it's like, it's just a terrible look. Just to go back to that, it's a very bad look. Supposedly, the concept is that there's this extremely riveting and youthful and passionate and in the know, on the pulse group of young people that are just willing to go to bat for their ideals. They're tired of being screwed over. They think it's the entire way the system's been. But we actually have to take Adderall in the bathroom to be able to properly give a speech. It's like, oh, dude, no, what are we doing? Do people think? Do you think I need to take Adderall? Like, I want people to know I donated plasma earlier today for one, for the first time ever, just for some extra money while I had some time. Second to that, I went to the gym. I don't even know you're supposed to be doing that. This is not medical advice. Please don't listen to me for anything beyond politics. And I'm like, I'm streaming. I forgot to even grab water. Who the hell? And perhaps maybe it's one of these individuals who's like really like nervous or something like that. But you don't need that. You don't need substances to be able to give speeches. And if you do, please excuse yourself off the stage, because you are not going to be able to represent America first. You're just not. I mean, the Celsius drink is one thing, but having to crush up some Adderall is like, and I'm not trying to sit here and have any kind of moral high ground. It's just to say, like, that's not going to transfer very well. You have given Laura Loomer enough content for 2 weeks. Laura Loomer will sit and talk about how there's Adderall in that bathroom for 2 weeks. And this is people going, yes, Laura, yes. Wow, they do hate Jews. Wow, I can't believe these cokeheads, just like Hitler, huh? Hitler had to use meth, huh? Wow, it's just like, that's kind of where I come in at, which is to say, can we please not be like this? Please? I'm asking, like, ooh, woo, like asking nicely. Don't clip that. Asking very nicely, like, please, can we not please do this? And Zeb probably has a point. It probably is the majority of these people. And if it's fake and gay, it stands to reason that it's also just as degenerate as it is gay, right? And it's kind of, they're the same thing, redundant to say both of them. I was missing the word. And no, I'm not making an argument that Hitler did meth. I'm saying that is where it will go. Laura Loomer will take it there. Laura Loomer will take it there. She will. Don't lie to me, Hook. That's what Laura Loomer's going to do. Crushed up Adderall in the bathroom. They're really trying to be like their hero, Hitler. 2,000 likes later. Loomer unleashed. 2,000 likes later. It's not to say like I think it's good or even it makes sense or it's logical, but it's to say we have to be honest about the objective realities of what is existing, the factions and the way people view things and the way people interact with things. And I can't explain it either, but somehow, some way, people still get up people still wake up in the morning. They crack the crust off their eyes. They snap their eyelids open. They pull the government's boot out of their behind, and they go, you know what? At least I can listen to Laura Loomer. And they're like, at least this world is destroyed, and it's going to hell in a handbasket. But at least I have Laura Loomer in the morning. And I could not. I'm a very logical person, and I could not give you a logical reason for that. I couldn't even explain it. You could give me 2 years, an empty book of 200 pages, and unlimited ink pens, and I couldn't explain it to you. I couldn't write it in a book and explain it to you. I don't understand it. But it is to say that is a reality. Larry, yes, Larry Loomer is a reality of our political ecosystem. People like what she has to say. I can't tell you why. I can only tell you that they do. And as long as they do, and as long as there are percentages difference of all everybody else beyond Laura Loomer, right? You know, there's Laura Loomer. I don't even, who's worse, Loomer or Mark Levin? Honestly, who's worse? I would say Loomer's worse, by percentagely, marginally. And then you go down a little bit. Now there's Mark Levin's crowd. You go down a little bit. Okay, now there's Sarah Gonzalez crowd. You go down a little bit. Now you have Dana Loesch's crowd. Actually, I'm missing a few. You have Seth Dillon and Joel Berry's up there in between somewhere. All of them. Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's group. But you have to be able to contend with the realities that they have audiences and they can vote. And they will tell their individuals to go vote. They will push for their audience to go vote. And their audiences fall for stupid rage bait. Their audiences fall for AI memes. Their audiences fall for what Laura Loomer is selling. So if you can understand that, then you have to be able to engage with the reality that if we're still going to be operating, and we are operating inside a political system that requires votes to get power, then you have to engage with the reality that you also are going to be competing against the aisle, across the aisle, from somebody who is leveraging their low IQ and retarded audience, and they probably have them by the balls and by the numbers and en masse. And that's part of where a lot of these back and forths are coming, and especially with Dan Bilzerian. I think there's even a stronger argument against the way Dan Bilzerian's been running his campaign than what I would even say with Casey Push. And so, this article goes and they detail all these speakers. They make it a point to talk about how there were some leftists there, but they do say ultimately it was like still dominated by the far right. But this is another gem inside of this article. So they make a comment, though, that it seemed to be there was a separation of the way that the America First United event was being received by the older crowd versus how the event was being perceived by the younger crowds. Let me read you this. This is again, this is from the younger crowd. So, quote, more pressing concerns, however, seem to be weighing on the younger segment in attendance. As one conference goer in his early 30s put it to me, quote, aura loss. Another, sizing up the crowd, said, quote, welcome to Chud hell. It goes on, the concerns echoed the dynamics that govern most social functions. Was it uncool to be here? Were the guests also deeply uncool? As footage of the conference appeared online throughout the day, critics on social media began to ridicule the event. They mocked its tiny audience, its low production value, and a speaker list that lacked star power. Viewers of the event stream on the platform Rumble observed that only about 500 people had tuned in. So that's a little bit of that's a little excruciating from the New York Times, but they talk about how the younger people were kind of like, they're like, this is cringe. Welcome to Chud hell. Welcome to Chud hell. I'm curious which person they looked at before they said that. Which speaker did that person say, like, look at? Was it Casey? Who was it? Who did they see that caused them to say that? That's funny. I want to know. New York Times, if you can hear me, please let me know who made that comment. As well as the other one, aura loss. Like, that's clearly from somebody young, right? Like, nobody above the age of 30 is going to say that. That is hilarious. And but this is what really sells the article, and this is what's really kind of making the headlines on X today. What's going viral? What's giving it life? And so this is how it ends at the article. And so Amy Dangerfield was actually featured earlier in the article, up higher, but it wasn't anything that we haven't already covered that you don't already know. But here's how the article ends: the last two paragraphs. Well, as Miss Dangerfield scanned her social media mentions, she suggested that a successful version of America First might not be one helmed by Mr. Fuentes. Instead, she offered it might be best embodied by figures like James Fishback, a long-shot candidate for governor in Florida, or even Mr. Bilzerian. Quote, I love Nick, I respect Nick, Miss Dangerfield said, but there is a difference between podcasting and doing something. So now, everybody take a moment to realize that Zeb has teamed up with Amy Dangerfield. Zeb, he said he didn't like Amy earlier, but here's this is the argument, right? That what Nick is doing isn't doing anything. But that's crazy because Amy, no one would even give a heck who you are or what you had to say if you weren't donning the blue hat that had whose initials on the back. Nick Fuentes has paved the way for the majority of these people. Nick Fuentes has essentially provided for the majority of these people their talking points. Nick Fuentes, for the majority of these people, was the one that took the brunt of the damage. He took the censorship. He took the backlash. While everybody else, myself included, remain on YouTube. But what I really want to take away from there is beyond, obviously, everyone's taking a look at the fact that Amy Dangerfield was obviously saying it needs to be bigger than Nick, and everything that she said was a lie on X and all of these videos, and she's just, it's over for her. I mean, like, might as well divorce her husband and get with Dan Bilzerian for as much as that might carry you. But what you see there is she mentions Fishback and Bilzerian. Bilzerian called Arval to attack Nick publicly. Amy Dangerfield says if it's not Fishback, perhaps Bilzerian can lead America First, the America First movement. So I'm inclined to believe, with those 2 points of information, that Bilzerian had a lot more involvement with the America First United event than what we have been led to believe. I would also add on there, too, that there seems to be an element of how is it funded, how do they make money from it? Perhaps Dan is also an element of that. But I do believe it is curious that she mentions Bilzerian, ahead of, a lot of other people. Interesting. Very interesting. And the honeymoon is over, as they say. I think many people would say the honeymoon is over. The roosters have come. The roosters have come. They've come to roost. And Amy Dangerfield, you are congratulations, Amy. You have been voted off the island. Never come back. Take that hat off and never wear it again. And maybe wear a hat that Dan Bilzerian made, since he does all these things that Nick doesn't do. Where's Dan Bilzerian's hat? Does Dan Bilzerian have a hat? And let me go to another element here. And this one I would really like to sink teeth into. And this is a great thing that was pointed out by Beardson earlier today. 70 watching on 23 likes. I'm going to find you each individually and come to your home and tell you to smash the like button. But this is a great thing that also pointed out by Beardson. All of this crashing out because Nick did or did not endorse Casey Putsch. Nick did or did not endorse Dan Bilzerian. Nick did or did not. Word of mouth, where's his support? Beardson goes and checks Arval's page on X and goes, where's all the support for Casey Putsch? Where's any kind of word of mouth endorsement from Arval? Same thing with Dan Bilzerian. Where's all the word of mouth push? Now, some people did. I think that Leonardo had, obviously was a lot more vocal for Casey. But many of these other guys, it's like, hold on. You're raging and crashing out that Nick didn't get support. But if we go and look at your actual X page, you literally didn't give us any support for Casey either. So where are we? What is this? What's the? So Nick can be attacked and critiqued because he didn't support Casey, but no one else should be held to the same standard, even though they also have large audiences. Dan Bilzerian also has a large audience. Casey Putsch, not Casey Putsch, forgive me. Arval has a decently large audience. But they're all attacking Nick because he didn't endorse Casey. But meanwhile, they didn't do it either. So what gives here actually? And so is the argument that it doesn't really matter for them because they don't have the influence Nick does, but they're also saying at the same time, this is why Nick shouldn't be leader and we should. Well, how are you gonna? Do you understand like how nonsensical that is? Okay, well, we didn't push for Casey, but that's because we're not the kingmakers. Nick should have done it because he is the kingmaker. But also, here's why we should be. What? How does that even remotely make any sense? Anyways, like I wanted to bring that up in addition to all this that was going on there too, because I just like, oh, what the what? What? And I really want to go to this one. And let me go find the one that I mentioned it earlier. I want to go find the one that Zeb reposted. It's in here somewhere. You go find it. I'm gonna pull it up for you guys to see because this is like a Gates Garcia. It's a Gates Garcia. Starline, I just might be difficult for you to understand, but I am not clicking on anything. It is all automatic. Members' comments get shown automatically. You are not a member. You have to sit with the homeless people. Not this one. Where is it? Zeb. I ever see you repost this guy again, I don't know if we actually can be friends. This is like literally one of the worst people in the entire space. Right here. Here it is. So this is the one from Dame Bazarian. I saw it, Zeb reposted it. That's what got my attention. But Dame Bazarian for Congress is quoting, and now they're teaming up with Jade McNeil of all people. That's lovely. But here we have it with Jade McNeil. He's quoting it. He says, "I'm a carpenter. I built this. I finished it. While memeing and ratioing the most disgusting people on earth. Me and the friends I've made on this journey to help Dan save America, each one of us as an individual are worth 10,000 gapers." And it's like, this is what women do, by the way. I want everyone to know this. Women do this. Is there anything like this is how women respond to Andrew Wilson when he's correct on a position? Oh yeah, well you have small hands. I think I think you are right? And that's fair. That's fair. If it's, not an endorsement, that's fair. I'm being facetious myself. I think that Kaiser and Von Grom needs to be ground up into ground beef and fed to animals somewhere on a remote side of the world. But it's the quote tweet is from Jade McNeil, and I've seen this a bajillion times. I see it time and time again. And it's attacking Nick because he's an elitist, which is him saying, attacking a carpenter for working with his bare hands, going to community college. And I have a lot of the same arguments. I'm actually in agreement with Nick on a lot of these more broader positions on that. Not that I think that blue collar work is less than, but the reason why we're in the position that we are in is because the majority of the generations that are just ahead of us all left the institutions. They abandoned them all. They thought that somehow we were going to be able to run the country while also walking away and giving the Democrats and the left and the progressives and the Marxists the levers of power. Continually day in and day out, over and over and over again. Forget college. Who cares about it? It's left wing. Go be a plumber. Go be an electrician. Go be this. Go be that. Go be anything but anyone who has a long or a semblance of a degree that would get you in a position of power. And I've long been critical of this. I've been critical of the escapism in the churches as well. And I think Redeemed Zoomer actually took a lot of heat for that in his early positioning of it. He basically came out and told men they were cowards. He's like, it's easier for you to just hop churches instead of just standing up in your own pew and speaking to the pastor, which I was like, okay, based. But it's escapism. It's this kind of idea that it's always better to not fight. It's always better, we know the left-wing institution, the institutions are left-wing. We know they're kind of gay and whatnot, but you know what? Go ahead. You know what? Just go be a plumber. Just go be a plumber and forget the institutions and, don't worry about me. That's what a lot of these people did. They went into their yards, they put the little yellow flag with the snake on it, and they puffed their chest out and they said, come and take it. And then the government did. And the government did take it, and it took it from all of us. And now we are on the verge of the white population is on the verge of collapse. The immigration is insane. Although, unfortunately, a large part of that is stopped. Holy crap, I said it like crazy there. But this is why escapism is so... We can't have it. We can't have it. And I agree. Not every man should be pursuing the trades, despite how easy or convenient and how, it's not really going to have to make me think about, having to think about politics. Because that's like the worst thing on planet Earth for some of these people. I talk to some men in my life and people who I grew up with, and it's like, you bring up politics, they're like, please make it stop. It's like I have kryptonite in my hand. They're like on their knees. They're like, please, God, please stop. Please don't do it. It's like, I'm going to literally fight you. I don't know what's gayer. The guy telling me that he wants everybody to be gay, or you getting on your hands and knees because you can't be dared to even be asked to think about something for once.
PFF 1974 has donated $5 and says blue-collar work in the USA is soon to be Latin American work.
Yeah.
That is the reality.
Dude, that's seemingly all it is around these parts, man. You know how many times I hear, like, that roofing job was trash. That roofing job was trash. All of it. And the point of it is not, I mean, money is an element of it.
Boykin has donated $4.99 and says gaming stream tonight.
That's interesting. I don't know. I'm tempted to do a gaming stream. Let me think about it. Because part of me is about to like pass out because I probably should have taken a nap after donating plasma and stuff earlier today. It was my first time. But I spent on one. It's been a crazy day today. I do appreciate the super chat though, Zeb. We do need to do the gaming stream at some point, whether it's Fortnite or whatever. I don't care. Let me go back to this though, from Anthony Tony. There specifically, plumbers make over 100K a year. How much these college graduates? Let me put it back up. Making with 100K in student loans. Well, here's the thing. Money is an element of it, but 100K now is essentially like what 60K was like 20 years ago. Now the new standard is getting ready to be like 200K or like 160K or some of these other reports. 200K is when it's going to 250K. And how many of these plumbers give generational wealth to their family? You tell me. You tell me how many 90-year-old plumber businesses that you know around here that's family owned and operated and hasn't reached out to contractor work and hasn't stepped into the H-1B. I mean, there's a scaling issue with some of that stuff too. But no, like the money, there still needs to be an element of you are inside the institutions. If none of us are in the institutions, we all lose. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. I agree that money is an element. I think that's actually a good point. And I'll give you props for that. Money is an element. You do need to be making money because you do need to be able to actually, what's the right word to say this? To be able to wield your influence in some way. Most people wield it by their dollars. You vote with your dollars. You also vote with your mouth too. But obviously, a lot more action happens from the finances too. But when you're looking at being like the lawyers who write the legislation, when you're looking at the doctors who sign off on the vaccines, when you're looking at, we could go down the line. Those institutions can't be abandoned. It's no wonder how you get COVID. And again, if anything, the majority of those institutions, because they're so wrapped into the schooling from the colleges, those jobs' wages typically scale. Doctors, instead of making 200K they did 10 years ago, now they all make 400K. And if this inflation continues, I would imagine as long as everything flows with the student loans and with the cost of tuition, they'll be making 600K in 2045. So there's elements of this that you cannot walk away from. And think about it. Can you imagine if every doctor who had to sign off on the vaccine or give statements on the vaccine was as right wing as you are? What would COVID have happened, right? Obviously it still would have been attempted, but it's just to say, like, it's much easier for these things to happen. It's much easier for us to lose massive amounts of ground when we literally don't even have a presence at all. And not to mention, when you have to, on top of just it's hard enough to get in there, but you have to hide your power level as well. How many months has it been since we covered Gavin Wax teaming up with the left to go just attack all these right-wingers because of what they said in a group chat that literally didn't affect anybody at all? But he needed to do it because for him, what matters is power. But always remember that the center-right will always team up. There is no one on the right is your friend unless they are far right or they fall into the bounds of dissident right. Because what did we see with Gavin Wax teaming up with the left to go run this BS article to go spam out all these other people? And I've not heard of another single person since. I've not heard of Gavin Wax, but that's because he kind of burnt that bridge. Now, would you want to be in a group chat with Gavin Wax? You don't even know if he's going to screenshot what you're saying. So who wants to be in a group chat where they're talking as if it's a Slack channel at work? Nobody. PFF
1974 has donated $5 and says as a follow-up, why the fuck do so many chuds just refuse to envision in their mind the idea of Americans having the jobs that are dominated by H1BS?
Well, I, I, I wish I could give you an answer.
EFF
Um,
1974
you
has
know,
donated $5 and says as a follow-up, why the
we'll
fuck
let it
do
play
so
again.
many chuds just refuse to envision in their mind the idea of Americans having the jobs that are dominated by H-1Bs?
Well, I mean, one thing I would add too is the H-1B problem has left the bounds of what is even like should even be remotely allowed legally. And with the H-1Bs, it's like I mean, we even saw this with valuetainment. I don't know how many of you guys were here when I was covering this with the vet crash out during Elon, but valuetainment even posted an H-1B visa application for for a graphic designer for like 40K a year. And so understanding the valuetainment's one of the biggest YouTube channels like on the platform, one of the biggest in the political sphere, and they were only willing to pay like their primary graphic editor for like thumbnails and video editing 40K a year. And so you see that all of these people take advantage of the H1Bs. And then you ask the question, how is he even allowed to, you know, request that? How is Patrick Bet David or whoever at his company allowed to petition the government for an open application on the H1B visa platform for a position for them to be an editor? How? And then you look at how other rampant ways that the H1Bs are violated and used and misused. And so you see the H1Bs also being dominated like in coding as well. This is something that I've been heard talked about for years. I'm talking like even before October 7th. A lot of these spaces inside of the inside of this tech sphere, and especially if anybody was following with Jeff Younger as well, there's so much of this element with Jeff Younger that he's been covering like the labor market, labor shortages, labor, just overall employment, the money, the finances, the immigration. And he was in spaces all the time with these guys who were like, dude, I'm a front end and a back end coder, and I've worked for 8 years on this project, and I have had 2 job interviews and 300 applications sent in. And he's like, and I can't get in. I can't get in because the moment that an Indian's put in charge of hiring, no, there will not be another race hired. And everyone knows it and everyone talks about it. Even Michael Savage talked about this. He pushed that. He pushed it so much to the tune that Donald Trump refit his whole transcript into a Truth Social post and reposted it. So when you know how weak this administration is and their performative cruelty, well, you go, well, dang, if even Michael Savage is willing to admit it and Trump's going to even put it in a Truth Social post, well, then how bad is it really? Especially what's been happening for as far as I know, like 3-4 years, and much longer than that, obviously. But I'm talking as far as I've been paying attention to these conversations. And we can't. I mean, it's suicide to tell our young men to go get married and go chase some trade job, because what ends up for the most of them is they end up with some woman that won't respect them, won't care for them. They end up depressed. And here's another thing too: they end up in these bad situations where they end up with a family court. And here's a great take. This is a great take, and I saw it from somebody, but I'm gonna repatriate it, if you will. But the state can enforce things like providing. When a man needs to provide, the state can enforce it. Why? Because it's a dollar amount. The state can look at you and assign a worth to what you need to be putting forward every month. Somebody explained to me how the state can enforce intimacy. Somebody explained to me how the state can enforce or even measure submission. Somebody explained to me that the state is enforcing the correct prioritization inside of a family. And you can't. And this is a huge problem. So we have this system that's obviously already one-sided against men, but in addition to that, of the mechanisms that it can actually enforce upon people, that's also one-sided. Which is to say, there's what can occur there. And then so when you tie that also, to the trades, it ends up with the majority of what I see when I go back to my hometown is all these guys in the trades who talk about wanting to off themselves all the time, leading marriages that they have no control over, who their wives don't respect, and I don't want to be anywhere near them. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, I think it's a terrible influence. I don't want my kids to be around it. I don't want my daughter to look at these women in the way that these moms speak to their husbands and think that's an acceptable thing. I'm tired of it. I'm so sick of it. I would burn this planet to the ground to make that shit stop. But I just don't get it. It's LARPing. It's like don't go to the institutions, don't infiltrate. We're just gonna build shacks out in the woods in Arkansas, and then we're gonna just bait the government, and then we're all just gonna get our muskets and rifles, and we're gonna march into Concord. It's like, what are we doing? What are we talking about here? You guys won't even speak up to your wives. I'm not hearing any more of this at all. And I'm serious. That will continually be my position. And second to that, this is another side point. I'm sick of people pushing the death penalty. As long as women are judges in this country, I will forever remain against the death penalty. How dare you give a woman the authority to give somebody the death penalty? Talk about nonsensical. What principle is that? You would rather push for adding the death penalty before you would remove women from being in positions of power? That's insane to me. That basically is a death penalty. Women judges is a death penalty for us. It is a permanent and very, very enraging death penalty on us, because what has the result been with women judges? What have we gotten? Oh, unfit for trial. Unfit for trial. That one's unfit for trial. Oh, this white dude. Oh, this white dude. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's getting the book thrown at him. Oh, another black person. This is his 41st time being in here for stabbing someone. Man, the system just really out to get you because you're black, huh? I'm thinking I'm going to give you community service. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And so we have people pushing for death penalty. What? You know how it's going to be used? You know it's going to be used? It's going to be used on white men. And that's just going to be getting the death penalty. You think women judges are going to be passing out death penalty like candy to all these black guys who actually, like, or for the most part, deserve it? No. So it's like, instead of saying chew gum and walk, I disagree. You need to have priority on this. There needs to be a prioritization of things. You can't brute force and shotgun these things. I quite frankly, that's just not how it goes. And that's also, and again, an argument I would make in the leadership too. What successful political movement happened with Trump? It was a centralized, singular leader movement. All the energy, and it was all the rhetoric around it, was that Trump became the avatar. He became the avatar. So there was like multiple variations of Trump. There was like Trump actually. There was Trump, the projection of, and then there was like Trump the meme. So you have Trump like the idea of what Trump is, Trump how he actually is, and then what people have all kind of basically projected onto him in like the version of that. And so what do we have right now on the right wing is this idea that we need to decentralize the movement, we need to take the power away from the leader, and we need to spread it across all these other random people that already aren't with followings. And I just heavily
Ramos EE has
disagree
donated
with that.
$5 and says huge black lady judge twerking on the desk while handing you your sentence.
Yeah. She says, oh, you liked Chud the Builder stream? Death sentence. Get this guy on death row tomorrow. Like that. I mean, that's what it's going to turn into be. Obviously, I'm exaggerating to a certain extent, but that's what it would end up looking like. It would be like on the margins, some sentence that would have normally been a life sentence all of a sudden goes to a death penalty because the guy's white. And you're like, whoa, hold on here. Well, what is this? So let me go to this. I'm going to go to this one. I mentioned it earlier. I want to go to this. This is the Dalton Clodfelder gem I mentioned earlier today because I think it's spot on in terms of the reference to the sourcing of power. And also, thank you to all the super chats, everybody who has super chatted in today. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you. I'm going to go to the other screen here, but this is from Dalton Clodfelder. Normally, I don't highlight him at all. We'll just not even get into it. He says, this is obviously strategically naive. And what he's commenting on is Morgan Ariel. So I guess we'll go to her first. She says, nobody owns America first. She says, if you think that, you aren't America first. You're just a cultist. Anybody who agree with this, I'm sorry, you are not fit for the movement. You know why? Because this is a woman. And if you agree with a woman, and if you have to let a woman do the thinking for you, I don't want you on my team. Okay, exaggerating a little bit. Okay, but Dalton Clodfelder quotes this and says, this is obviously strategically naive. Every coherent political movement in history has required a center of ideological gravity, whether a person, a text, or a doctrine. that people can rally behind and be measured against. When you dissolve that center in the name of inclusivity, you get a fog. You get grifters, opportunists, and ideological tourists all claiming the banner that once meant something, while pulling in contradictory directions, with no mechanism to adjudicate between them. America First as a phrase means nothing without its content. Nick Fuentes means something specific when he says it. If nobody owns a label, then the label owns a nobody. Then it becomes a marketing slogan rather than a political commitment grounded in physical reality. Movements that refuse to define themselves get defined by their enemies or colonized by their worst representatives. This is what you represent. You and everyone else who has attempted time and time again to usurp a movement of meaning. Out of jealousy, out of lust for financial or social power, or out of pure stupidity, always fail because nothing will be able to conquer something. What you are representing is nothing. And so, on top of this, what I would also add as well is the majority of what we're seeing here with like what you could call, I guess, Scorpio War 3 or the overwhelming just kind of just reaction to what's been happening is I would liken it to, again, the kind of the pruning period during Donald Trump's rise to popularity, which was it was a cult like opposition to him. The Never Trumpers coordinated and rallied around, and they were there lockstep every day, day in and day out. This guy cannot have power. You know, he says it was like the same accusations over and over and over again. It is like, Lord have mercy. Who at this point, I mean, I think at this point, more people have probably heard the idea that Nick's a Fed more than maybe as much as Charlie Kirk's assassination was heard around the world. And it's the same thing, and it doesn't matter. It keeps going. Catboy doesn't matter. Keeps going. And that's probably got to really burn, doesn't it? It's like, it doesn't even matter. It literally doesn't even fucking matter. And the reason why is because there is such a literal gap between Nick and the next person down on this side of the aisle that there's just nothing right now that would even work or stick or be damaging at all. And again, you know, and it doesn't even matter how many times he's explained them. This is part of the problem too, is like these accusations are years old. And so a lot of people just take it by the fact that he's not going to sit there and explain it for the 11 millionth time, that there somehow must be some truth inside of it. And it's like, you have how many times, how many different clips in episode 1561, and then he addressed it in 2024, then he addressed it in 2022, and it's like it's so tiring. I wouldn't even address it. I would address it like 2 or 3 times, and then I'd be like, dude, you got to leave me the fuck alone. Like, I'm not explaining it again for some idiot who just walked in and can't even type into a search bar, Nick on this. Like, just look it up for yourself. We have to like, I got to hold your hand for everything. Yeah, they keep saying it, and I keep not caring. That's dude, and I again double down on that, which is to say, like, I am very, very convinced that everybody outside on the fringes of this America First space is got some kind of they want some kind of operation. They're doing something. Could I explain it very well? No, I don't know, but I think they're moving together. How many? How much? For how long? Couldn't tell you. But there's very something suspicious about it, and also too, like, it's the LARPing and the pushing of violence over and over and over again. Like, that pisses me off because it's like, I do not want to go back to Twitter 1.0 days. I do not want to go back to 2017 YouTube. I don't want to go back there. That was hell. That was literally hell. So providing these people with as much cannon fodder as possible to paint everybody here and on the side of the movement as some deranged psychopath who can't read, let's not do that. But that's what Jake Shields and Dan Bilzerian have been doing. Dan Bilzerian to a lesser degree, but Jake Shields has been doing it. You know, and I'm somebody who likes Jake Shields. I'm not even going to do the thing where, like, you know, pretend to not have to like him anymore. Like, he's had some good conversations. I've liked listening to some of the stuff on his platform. But if you can't do it without nuance, and you can't do it with an ounce of political acumen, it's like you have to be removed. You either need like shamed, which is what is happening right now with everybody responding back and pushing back, or you gotta exit the stage, center left. And I'll say this time and time again. None of this should be shocking from Jake Shields. He is a vegan. Which one of, is there someone seriously in chat here who would trust a vegan with your life? And don't lie to me, you wouldn't. Nobody here would. Nobody likes vegans. Why does nobody like vegans? Because there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. We know this. Um, but moving on though, and let me go into a little bit of Dan Bilzerian, and I wanted to cover this too. So it's the same. If anything, it's worse. It's worse than what Casey had. Casey did have a lot more of a winnable race. But looking at the 6th congressional district in Florida, this is Randy Fine's district. Okay. This is who Dan Bilzerian is running to unseat. I'm going to tell you right now. Does anybody have any guesses right now? What do you guys think the median age in this country is? If you were to look up, what's the average age of America, right? What's the median age? If you were to pull any section of the country, whether it was in Ohio or Tennessee, what do you guys expect like the median age would be? What do you think? Any guesses? Okay. Well, the median age is 40. It's 39. It's like 39.4. 39.4. Right. You guys are underestimating how many illegals, how many anchor babies have come through this country. We're not talking 20 million illegals. We're talking 100 million illegals. So the median age in the country is 39.4. It's actually 40 years old, which makes sense. There's going to be, especially at the baseline, a lot more children are overcoming sicknesses compared to their counterparts at 65 years old. So the median age is 39.4. That is the national median age in this country. The median age in the 6th congressional district in Florida, where Randy Fine is running, is anywhere from 48.5 to 48.7. Randy Fine's congressional district is literally 10 years older on average than the national median. It's Boomerville. Dan Bilzerian is running in Boomerville. And when you look it up too, there's a distinct, if you just look up the 6th congressional district of Florida, most of the time the AI also would return back, and it would say, and the searches would return this too, that it is a notable, significant increase compared to other areas with similar demographics, that the age is significantly older. So Randy Fine's district, and I believe inside of Randy Fine's district, it would also be Daytona. I do believe is inside of there. Exactly. Thank you, Hook. We're getting to the next part. And so when you look at more demographics inside Dan Bilzerian's, Florida is 35 to 40%. Here's the dominant religious demographic in Florida. It is 35 to 40% evangelical Protestant. Who are the Zionists again? Is it the Catholics? No. Well, not for the most part. It's evangelicals, and they even separate it. So in that exact district, only 9 to 11% are mainline Protestant, meaning all other branches of Protestantism make up about 9 to 11% compared to the whopping 35 to 40% of evangelicals that make up the demographic in the 6th district of Florida. I'll do you one better. The second biggest group is secular, 22 to 25%. So it literally goes, they're all boomers. It's dominated by Zionists. And then the next group inside of there is secular, meaning probably a bunch of left-wingers. And if they're not left-wing, they're probably liberal Jews and secular Jews. And Dan's whole campaign, his platform, has been run on Jews bad, I kind of like Hitler, and fuck Israel. Someone please tell me how the fuck a campaign is supposed to run on that. And forgive me, I'm cursing way too much. Somebody tell me how a campaign is supposed to be successful on that when that's your demographics. Those are the people who he's supposed to be targeting to vote for him. How does that make sense? The entirety of that district is boomers, Zionists, and secular Jews. What are we doing? And that's the weak argument, Zeb. It's not to not try. The argument is your platform can't be slam jock slide jam to one side that is just like outspokenly, I hate Jews. I hate, YouTube. This is I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like that it can't be. That's not the argument here. The argument that me and Tyler Russell and Beardson and everybody else been putting forward is we're optics cucking you. We're saying stop putting the swastika on your armband and thinking you're going to win an election. That's retarded. Why is it a hard thing to understand? Dan Bilzerian, if he just do what the left does and lie, we're back to the same game. We're back to the same bullshit of going to the game of the Monopoly board, and we know the person across the other side of the aisle is cheating. And we go, instead of even halfway attempting to mimic or emulate the tactics that we are getting crushed by, we think that we're going to just, if we just out loud say we love Hitler, and we push for all Jews are bad and fuck Israel, that the silent majority is going to magically wake up and it finally somebody said it, but that's not what's happening. And don't take this as me like yelling at you, Zeb. I'm just passionate, obviously. It's just like that to me is a very logical thing to go, well, of course you would lose. You're not like it doesn't even feel serious. You're telling me Dan Bilzerian couldn't run on anti-immigration? He couldn't have run on he could have just formulated what Donald Trump's ticket was in 24. Mass deportations. He could have formulated, it could have been a little bit different. He says, "Are you yelling at me though?" And so, no, the point is not to try. The point, literally, the argument against Casey from Nick was you didn't even try. Now, to be fair to Casey, some of that was part of the financials, and like, who am I? Like, I can't like automatically start a fundraiser and say I'd have $300K to run with and do these events for. But that's the argument, which is like, how do you think this is going to, how do you think this is going to gel with your constituency? It's like, and that's why I think the online arguments come in at, which is people kind of point to, like with Casey, for example, with like this idea that like likes somehow transfer. No, I do think that there is some level of measuring. You can measure some impact and influence by likes and posts and the reactions and the comparisons of which. But you don't even know who's liking your post. For one, it's like, when I like Zeb's post and he likes mine, and he co-signs what I say, but Zeb, I can't vote in South Carolina and Zeb can't vote in Ohio. So ultimately, it almost gives like a fake veil of success. And perhaps that's what Casey was on. Perhaps Casey saw the likes. He saw all the engagement he was getting. He saw all the rallying cries from Leonardo Joni and Dan and others. And he allowed that to trick him in being deceived into he was going to have a walk-in cake campaign. And it just doesn't transfer that way. And there's even some of these other, snippets I've been seeing from some of these other articles talking about how Casey wouldn't even listen to any of the campaign people that he had hired on or was working with. And you saw it all, like all the staffers who've been come out and saying, been against Casey since then. I think the one's name is George and whatnot. But it goes back to, with Dan Bilzerian, it's like, this is the same problem. And I think House said something earlier about the fact that he's not even on the ballot yet. And you have Randy Fines on there. I think there's also, what's his name? It's like Aaron Baker is one of them. There's a couple other guys on there. And it is kind of like, what are we doing? And if anything, it's like none of them are even as good as Joe Kent. This is kind of the crazy part. Like, what did Joe Kent understand that these people can't? And that's not to endorse Joe Kent. Everybody obviously knows how I feel about Joe Kent, but it's like, you have to do a little bit of the song and dance. You just have to.
Joshuavan8391 has donated $1.99 and says Dan is Patrick Little all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. For anybody who wants a brief history lesson, yeah, Patrick Little was another small time dissident candidate who got obliterated by Nick. And yeah, well, and so this is what I'm curious about. Casey said that not only is he not going to run as an independent, Casey said that it would be illegal for him to run as an independent. And so I'm like, perhaps, maybe, like, I'm unsure. I don't even know if he understands political process at this point. He's kind of throwing me for a loop here lately. But I believe the same thing is true of Dan, right? It's like, why? It's like, Dan, you have all this money, you have all this clout, and you just can't resist the urge to poison yourself politically. This isn't me saying I disagree with some of his takes. This isn't me saying, oh, hide your Hitler memes. It's saying if you're going to run as a candidate, you're going to run as a candidate, and black women, black people, boomers, and Jews are going to be voting for you, and in this case, going to make up the majority of your constituency. You have to at least, in the slightest, at least be willing to contend or put something on a platform that speaks to these people. Showing up and expecting that all these people are going to come vote for you, and then at the same time burn your bridge with Nick, who did have probably people who would have voted for Dan inside of Florida who aren't going to now. So if anything, who's really not trying to do anything? Who's really just trying to destroy the space? How can anyone say it's Nick? It's like, to me, it's like I look at Dan and Casey, like, you're destroying the space. You're making it look stupid. You're making me agree with Aiden on X. Now he pushes it because he's like, well, Casey burnt the MAGA flag, don't do that. But it's like, I, maybe I'll never know. Maybe I'll never understand. That'd be news to me. But that might be a co-host in the Grip Report tomorrow. I won't be there tomorrow. I'll be tomorrow. It'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll be with Focus Trip and Rhetorically Defective and Tom Foe. We'll be doing a panel stream tomorrow. That's where I'll be, not with the Grip Report. And Thieves Knives, is this what's going on? Is this what's happening? I would really hope not. Maybe I'm just too naive and I hold out hope for people that I shouldn't. You know what I mean? Unfortunately. But I just wanted to make sure I covered some of the Randy Fines district there to kind of really paint the picture again that don't be surprised if the armaments and the knives come out for Nick again when Dan's polling is in the gutter and he's just straight up just not gonna win. He loses and then Nick says like, bro, I told you so, and then everyone's gonna be like, bro, if you would have supported Dan, he would have. It's just like, please. But be prepared for it. I'm sure it's coming to a store near you. So how long have we been going? About an hour and a half. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. I've changed the screen like twice. Crazy. And okay, so here, I want to go to a couple of things. I guess we'll start with some of the smaller stuff. I'm going to do the Elijah Schaefer one first because I really kind of want to know what happened with all of this. So we are moving on to this one. Let me get it over here. So I just saw this, and again, I saw it from a caption. I saw it from Jaden McNeil, so I assume there's got to be some truth to it, or like something to it, right? And so this is the post that I saw. It's from Jaden McNeil. No support him, dude. Don't even follow him. He's a disgusting logger. But he says, after the success of the last Groyper event, Elijah Schaefer has announced that he and Nick are planning a conference in Texas this summer and already have funding for it. I actually find this hard to believe, to be honest with you, because I don't think Nick said anything about appearing publicly or doing anything public for a hot minute. Since a generation run, that is. But let's take a listen. What does Elijah say?
Also, guys, we're having a conference here, so you guys know. You guys will have a chance for tickets. They will cost money, though, but we're doing a White is Right conference at my friend's ranch. That one that I was at, that's 3,000 acres. We're doing a day here today. That we're doing basically Nick Fuentes, Arval, Jake Shields, myself, Hermes, that guy from the other white movement, all these people. We're going to be doing like a video conference from this house. And people are going to be able to come join, and then we're going to do a big party and a live event on my friend's private property. Only like real niggas can come. And it's going to be like our own little CPAC that we're going to be doing later in the next few months. We already got some funding for it, so it's kind of cool.
I can't tell if it's it has to be. I think it is a troll. I don't think he's being legit. That's funny. And of course, Jaden McNeil clips it. This guy. Okay, something to actually sink your teeth into. He doesn't look good. I will agree with that. This comes from Tyler Oliveira, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, Tyler Oliveira went on with Tucker Carlson, and Tyler Oliveira made Tucker Carlson take some steps back on his attack against Nick Fuentes, and so it's great. And you're just gonna hear Tucker Carlson say it, and it's just like they don't get it. They don't get it, or he's purposely trying to say this to really, really drive out like there's like this big clamoring group of people who like want anybody but Nick. It's like, okay, well, leaders don't need, like I said yesterday, leaders don't need to ask for followers. Leaders just naturally lead, and people will follow them if they're worthy of being followed. I mean, you see it time and time again. But here's this.
So, but what, and then Nick Fuentes, or Fuentes is only about Fuentes, but at some point there's going to be someone who is not just about himself, who actually wants to build a political movement that is way more radical than the Republican Party. And that person is going to be huge among your generation. Is that a fair?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know the full political belief of, I don't know all the beliefs, Fuentes has, for example, but I think he's right about that young men are disaffected.
I'm not attacking Fuentes. I'm just saying like Fuentes is only about Fuentes or whatever.
I mean,
no.
I don't know his ambition.
Is ultimately he talks about
he's
himself.
Not avoidable,
but he makes points that are true.
Absolutely.
A lot of them.
For sure.
And he is being
and it's points like that ring true for a non-radical or someone who is.
They ring true for me. That's why I interviewed him. Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of it. I told him I didn't. But in general, his critique that the whites are shafted.
For sure.
And that this Israel relationship is really sick.
And that everyone basically that voted for Trump is seemingly not getting anything to ask for.
Got it. I agree with all of that. So that's.
Is there like somebody out there that's like, galvanizing the youth, someone, it's like, what are you talking? There is someone, his name is Nick Fuentes. You interviewed the guy. And he has so much influence that when you went on the New York Times, all they could talk about and ask you about was your interview with Nick Fuentes. That's all anybody even knows happened at that New York Times interview, Tucker. And let me show you one more. Let me show you another from Tucker. I'll finish the clip out, actually.
It's all real. My only point is, people look at Fuentes and they're like, oh, you're the scariest thing that could happen.
Absolutely
no.
not. Yeah.
That's my point.
I don't know where it goes, right? The energy has to go somewhere, right?
And this is true. They say it like it's a bad thing. Like the only way that you can be is like, well, dude, like the farthest right that you can go is like literally insane pagan people. It's like, who wants to be associated with that? Who wants to be associated with this, like, this just constant, like, violent slarping? Like, who wants any part of that? How does that, well, again, guys, we can't even, we're on step 3. We're learning how to get up off of our knees in our own home that we pay for because our wife is commanding us to. We're on step 3. That's why it's like, yeah, dude. Like Zeb says it all the time too. Nick is the moderate. That's completely fine. That's what we need. We need someone that can make a palatable platform that people will vote for. That's kind of the whole point. Because like I would like to have power. How do you get power? You have to get near the lever, but to get near the lever, you have to win an election. How do you, again, I'm not going to explain the whole process again. But here's another one from Tucker. I'm going to grab this because this edit came out. Stole the react. This is what I was mentioning earlier too. I got the flash drive right here. All the aliens are right here. Oh my gosh, aliens, UFOs, Area 51, Bob Lazar. Crazy, Navy did it. Air Force, blurry videos. Conspiracy. Who cares? This one, I want to show you guys this one. Handsome Truth is a Jew. That actually got exposed a little bit ago. It got exposed a while ago, but then he literally confirmed it on stream. Yeah, I don't know if he let it slip or what, but I saw a clip of that earlier. I can't stand that dude. Like that's one dude. Like I did. I would do a brand risk fight against Handsome Truth. I'll put that out there. But take a look at this edit that Tucker made. He's learning from Fuentes. I will say this before I play any of this. I'm gonna turn down a little bit too. It's probably loud. Tell me right now that Tucker's not trying to copy Nick. And if anything, does this not? Are we not back in the position? So what kind of we were contemplating with, and I think even Zeb was in agreement with this, is that the containment right, what Tucker was doing and Candace Owens in this just general kind of group, is to kind of siphon as much of Nick's audience as they possibly could. Since Tucker has so far been extremely unsuccessful in doing this, I think this is why he's out now opted to gather those who are anti-Nick, going for the Jade McNeils and the Zeb Boykins. I wouldn't be surprised if Zeb Boykin at this point would vote for Tucker Carlson in 28. But now he's taking the heavy anti-Nick stance, which is to say, now he knows for a fact he can't siphon Nick's audience. So what's the next best bet? Gather all of the other so-called America Firsters who are, indifferent or angered by Nick or have a axe to grind with him, etc., etc. And so this is Tucker Carlson seeing that Nick has motion and trying to capture said motion.
A great man, a brilliant person, and a true character.
It's a good edit.
All right.
I believe Tucker Carlson is the single most dangerous demagogue in this country.
Douchebag!
So this is this is clearly like him trying to copy and siphon some of this energy. Very, very Nick Fuentes like edit. This is definitely something you would see a Clipper post or something that you would see be even attached at like the beginning of a stream or like in the pre-lobby, et cetera, et cetera. And it's wild here, right? And so Tucker Carlson's trying to compete in the same kind of arena. I said that, I said it like, that's a good edit. I have to give it to Tucker Carlson. Like how, that was a good edit. I'm sorry. I think some of the Wignets though will hate that they even heard rap music. And let's be honest, guys, like rock music has fallen. I don't know if rock music was going to come back to the edits. You know what I mean? Like edits are dominated by rap music for the most part. Or if it's not that, it's some other kind of like meme song. You really don't see many of like, unless like a very specific one of like the Creed Super Bowl halftime show. It's like you don't really see many edits that have anything outside of trap or hip hop or rap. Been taken over. We have wigged out. We have wigged out. Yeah, ChatGPT, Tucker Carlson, but badass. Wait a minute. Zeb said you would. That's crazy. Is Zeb a Fed? Has this whole time, has it all been projection? Every time Zeb has said everyone else is a Fed but me, that's all been projection? What? You're telling me now for the first time? Zeb was trying to get out in advance early? Am I picking up the scent that somebody works for Buckley Carlson? What? What's that? What was that late night call you had? It was one of the Carlsons you said. What? That's funny. And rap isn't champ. Who even knows what it is at this point? It's just more. It is what it is. It is what it is. Even if you wanted to make it stop, you couldn't. Unless you want to like willingly like genocide millions and millions and bajillions of people, it's over. Been that way for a while too. Like pop can't even get a leg back in. Like hip hop, it's just because everybody feels that primal urge to gyrate. Just it is what it is. It is what it is. it is, what it is. This is another one that I want to go. Here's a shorter one that I wanted to go to as well. This is not in the React folder, but I wanted to go to it because I was just curious, and it's obvious that you have Alex Jones is being boosted by RT. It's crazy. Just seeing RT all over my timeline has just been something to imagine, something to witness, something to behold, if you will. And so let me show this. Let me pull this up here. And there it is. Israel nuke U.S. to blame Iran and Hail Mary. So it's no wonder why RT's picking it up, of course. But let's take a listen. What does Alex Jones say here? I've not heard this yet.
Israel staged a false flag attack. Set off a nuke and say Iran did it. Attack the U.S. and say Iran did it. Shoot surface air missiles at Trump's Air Force One and claim Iran did it. They've been pre-programming all of that. So we're at a very dangerous juncture right now because Netanyahu has already been indicted, convicted. He knows that if he can't keep this war going, he's done. That's why he funded Hamas. That's why Israel created Hamas. Now they've set up Hamas or get rid of Hamas, but they stood down on October 7th. So all the false flags, all the disinformation is coming to a close. Israel's now the most unpopular country in the world, according to Gallup poll, and they're trying to double down controlling our foreign policy. But to all the neocons who tried to bully the American people, tried to tell us we were wrong, we were right, and you were wrong. So it looks like Saudi Arabia just ended the war. According to all the calculus, that's what's happening. But Israel may do a Hail Mary and stage some big event very, very soon, maybe political assassinations here in the United States for control. You've had the head of the ADL say a month ago, we need to use the same energy Israel used killing Hamas with pagers against Americans and say Israel got us in this
Even though
war.
it's here, even though he's even though he's a filthy Freemason. I was blown away that Chase Geyser was like pushed for Freemasonry. I didn't realize he was that deep into that stuff. I actually had a higher opinion of him until I saw that. Anybody, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's very rare that anybody can go up against Jay Dyer and leave unscathed. Same thing for Andrew Wilson as well. I'm pretty sure Jay Dyer took on 2 people that time. It's like a 2v1. Zeb's just starting of service right now. Oh yeah. Very, very likely. Very. Yeah. Oh, Zeb doesn't have service right now. Just messing. That is funny. It could be a combination of people. I do see Tucker as a top, especially as many times as Polymarket keeps pushing his presidential odds. Like it was at 4%. They're like, Tucker Carlson's odds at the highest ever. It hit 7% the other day. It hit 7%, I think it was like maybe last week, maybe at the beginning of this week. Tucker Carlson's presidential odds, highest ever. And when you look at the makeup of the Rockbridge network and you look at just the way that, obviously, if all the reporting and all the subtleties from inside the administration, all signs to me point that if, like, Vance would probably, I would imagine Vance would take on Carlson. I think it would be Carlson would ultimately serve as a bridge to mend the wound in the hearts of Americans and their perspective of JD Vance. I think that's what Tucker Carlson would serve. I think Joe Kent would serve the same thing, but I think Tucker Carlson's more name brand. I think even with Joe Kent being a bit more like suit and tie, he's been in these positions. He doesn't come from the podcast world, although he does. It's featured all the time. I still think Tucker Carlson would be that. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm thinking it will be a Vance and Carlson. I can't imagine Vance taking the back seat. I don't think that the Peter Thiel network would allow that. So that's why I see Vance running. Vance will run even if Marco Rubio runs. And I think if Rubio runs, Hegseth will be his side piece. And it will be either, Vance and Carlson or Vance and Gabbard or Vance and Kent. I think those are all the possible options. I think there's even a chance of a Massey being in there too, but I would imagine Massey would prefer to run by himself than with JD Vance. I actually don't know too much about what their kind of relationship looks like. But I would imagine if Thomas Massey was to accurately hold the administration accountable for all their individual actions, he probably doesn't have a high opinion of JD Vance either. So, I mean, Thomas Massey's probably taken notice of the way that J.D. Vance has been talking about the Iran war. He's also probably taken notice of his other, interior relationships too. But I do agree with Patrick there. Carlson can't be trusted. Joe Kent can't be trusted. Candace Owens can't be trusted. Dave Smith can't be trusted. J.D. Vance can't be trusted. Rubio can't be trusted. Yeah, the Rogan sphere can't be trusted. Theo Vaughn might be the needle in the haystack out of that crowd, just because it's hard to not feel like he's being genuine when he talks about this stuff. But again, how much did that serve? And ultimately, how easy would it be for him to be pulled under the wing of somebody like a Carlson or something like that? So I really don't think he's anything really to pay attention to be honest. And you also have Tim Dillon in that space as well, too. We have, Taylor Greene as well. I think Taylor Greene's just a non-factor anymore. I think we're slowly going to see less and less and less of her. And I think if part of that's just going to be the natural pull for her to like not want to be involved in politics, not wanting to be getting attacked day in and day out, especially by a lot of your, former associates, if you will. So we have that. I think we're going to skip the aliens today because, it's just going to be just going to be saying it's not real. So what I would like to do is spend a little bit of time paying attention to this. I just saw that from House Leotardo. This is the rhetorically defective video that Tix Pomper sent me earlier in the Discord that I was going to go ahead and react to. Apparently, this is what people have been talking about. No, this is a newer one. Forgive me. It's a newer one that was posted by Rhetorically Defective. And it's, again, about William and the America First. Let me read these from Uncle House. This is like gold. If you see Uncle House typing in chat, stop what you're doing. Tell your wife to shut up and sit down. We're about to listen. Shut up and sit down. House is speaking. A king is speaking. It says, Fox Media purchased Red Seat Ventures. Yes, we did cover that. As a consequence, Sarah Carlson, Kelly, Piers Morgan, Bill O'Reilly, and many more still work for Fox Corp. They control their own opposition. Fox will be pro-Rubio. Their podcasters will be pro-Vance. Either way, the establishment wins. And the question would be, which arm of that will win, right? Will it be the PayPal Mafia arm that's tied in with David Sachs and Peter Thiel and Elon Musk? Or will it be the Miriam Adelson wing with Paul Singer and Rubio and maybe the bit more the at-large, the big fish inside of that space? That seems to be it, right? It seems to be like a smaller entity versus a much larger entity, ultimately with very many similar goals, in both lying to the American people. But thank you, House. Appreciate that, man. Let me go back to I am at the beginning, aren't I? Yeah, 0-0. That's how bad my eyesight is. I can't even tell if that's zeros or eights. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's take a listen. What does he have to say? Although I'm not too encouraged after seeing him rhetorically go off on Groypers all day. Him and Tom Foe went at each other a little bit too. I thought that was crazy.
So, fellas, let's take a look at Orthodox Christian, communist sympathizing, popular.
Is rhetorically defective an atheist? Oh. then I don't even care. Self-report. I am an atheist. Self-report? That's crazy, dude. Who's we? Thank you for
race
that.
realist content creator known as Verillium. Now that might sound confusing, but no one is more confused or inconsistent with their messaging than our boy Verillium. Holy sweet mother of moly. To add to this ridiculousness, he has Tourette's that is somehow growing worse with each day. And his insatiable hunger for clout, and when I say insatiable, I do mean insatiable.
I'm just an insatiable asshole. And so
I'm just an insatiable asshole.
I could be working more, I could be getting more views, and so I'm super insatiable. I don't take
JR, this is an intervention. I repeat, this is an intervention. JR Williams 4029. If you can hear me, this is an intervention. Both of them hate you and your ancestors. There is the Republican cope is not going to be tolerated. It will not be tolerated. They both hate you and your ancestors. Do you understand? Do you realize that they avoid and refuse? What Republicans running on 1790? Immigration Act, right? Free white peoples. That's what our founders wrote. Do you think any Republicans holding that? So no, they don't care at all what the ancestors wrote. They don't care that what John Adams said about the Constitution. None of them care. And so I don't don't allow yourself to be coaxed into somehow, in some semblance, the Republicans don't hate our ancestors. Like, they definitely do. They're doing the same thing to Nick. Well, actually, I think our ancestors, I agree with our ancestors on about this and this and this, but I disagree on this. Okay, we're A-logging George Washington right now. Yeah, I'm gonna really listen to Roy Chip over George Washington. It's just like, no, we can't be doing that. The Republican Party is not the party of of Christian nationalism, and if they're not that, then they hate your ancestors. They've become something entirely different. They're the party of free trade, global capitalism. And that's what they're the party of. Yeah, I can understand abstaining. I can understand that. I'm fine with that. But maybe I'm just looking at it more so too of like the viewpoint of like the Ohio race, which is like, I think affirmatively voting for an Indian who has made it for the last couple of years, his entire mission to redefine what it is to be an American. That is like, I would vote for Obama before I voted for that. I would vote for 2008 Obama before I voted for that. Before I voted for for an Indian anchor baby who by all accounts shouldn't even be considered a citizen if we would have gotten the actual legislation. I mean, I can't affirmatively vote for that. And there's no Republican cope on Vivek at all. Literally at all. And that's why it's like, it's very simple. The GOP betrayed everybody. The administration is a bunch of liars. They have been seeking to make sure that the fifth column of Jews in this nation maintain their power hold over it. So who cares? It's very easy. It's like, you betrayed me. It's like, we'll betray you back. Here comes Amy Acton. Well, I mean, what do you expect? What was the... And ultimately, like, when you abstain, it's just like, okay, well, it's not really saying anything. It's not saying anything at all. You're still going to have to be forced with the consequences of that race one way or the other. So what, if Nick doesn't say anything but Amy Acton still wins against Vivek, is that still also like Nick's fault? Like, I don't understand that. It's just like there's no connection there. Back to this. I guess let's listen to more of RD. I'm like super disappointed. I was like excited to like meet this guy and like talk to him. I didn't know all that. I know some of you guys do enjoy his content, so I'm sure there's some redeeming qualities here.
To my work well, but I suppose, yeah, people are aware of who I am, which is great.
He decided to attend the America First United Conference, which holds the record for worst event ever put on. Outside of someone harming a child, I don't know how it could have gone worse. AFU already deleted the 9-hour stream, so I want to show you Veroyum's perspective on the whole travesty of an event. Before we get to that, let me just bring you up to speed on how he's been allegedly straight and gets along better with women.
Male fans, quote unquote, that didn't process for them, and they just saw my content. Were like, oh, this guy's funny.
Did you hear him just say my male fans?
Gotten along better with women than I do men, which is
there it is. Like, he used to be a leftist, but he still carries forward his economic leftist.
No, Hippocratic. If you wouldn't have done it,
used to be part of like the leftist camp, but I used to orient my sort of like ideological mind towards leftism, which still informs much of my politics today. I don't really consider myself right wing in a conventional sense.
He's
I wasn't
atheist,
raised
makes
conservative,
sense.
and many of my economic
Of course,
ideas are still very
interracial.
left wing.
And finally, how he chats with Groypers, the followers of Nick Fuentes, about how he received.
Yeah, I don't know what his name is, Louis, but yes, it's like something Sexton is the name of his the father, as far as I understand. Could be wrong, but that's I've been told.
A BG McSqueegee from a guy in college.
Time to come clean. Let's talk about the ass play. Just rip the band-aid.
No, I've never had sexual relations with a man. I've never.
What do you mean that men have done things to you? Like, what does that mean?
Listen, listen.
What?
Did you just pull the band-aid off? Did you let a guy give you head? Like,
you gotta give up something, or else nobody will believe you.
Yeah, okay. If I'm being honest, if I'm being fully honest, yeah, that's basically.
You let a guy give you head.
In college, yes.
No way, you're the bottom. That doesn't make any sense. Dude, why are you shilling so hard for it? You just heard he had a virgin asshole.
No, it's just, this is a fact.
You heard he had a virgin asshole, and you're like, wow, I could have a trad boy wife. Brilliant. Would you let Beardson take your anal virginity?
Yeah, that's real America First. Now that we're all caught up, Let's slap around these puffy udders.
Folks, welcome back.
I don't. You guys hear that? Dude, what? Dude, what? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Gay, 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 gay.
What are we doing? Like, what? All right, well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Oh, man. I mean, here's the thing. I can't fault, and myself included, you can't fault anybody for being suspect of somebody like that. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, like, the first kind of thought that comes into my head is, Milo Yiannopoulos. And you think about how trustworthy Milo Yiannopoulos is. I'm not saying they're the same person. I'm saying I think it's a fair position, especially, I mean, it would have been fair even just after, like, if you would have heard some of that. It's definitely fair after you hear that and you see what happened after the America First United. I don't know what I just watched. Tix has a way of sending me the most the most stuff. Benny Johnson could go in there too. Benny Johnson, top 5 celebrity junk you should stare at. Here's my BuzzFeed article of men's butts I would touch if I could. Benny Johnson, top 10 male behinds I would be behind in a long line at an amusement park. It's like, what is this? What the? I'm like, that's crazy, dude. Like, that's crazy. I don't know if we don't need to watch. I don't know if we need to watch any more of this. I'll go ahead and give him a thumbs up anyways, just cause, I'm sure he put work inside of that video. But man. And dude, I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm taking it back. Like, the way that it'd be one thing to just, like, if you were to come forward and say it, but to, like, almost say it as if, like, you're halfway proud of doing it, or like you're beating around the bush. Like, it is what it is. I guess. So be it. That's just crazy to me, man. I'm a little mind blown by it. Well, no, to be fair, Tix didn't bring me that. Beryllium broke me. Rhetorically defective just served it up. Yeah, this is, I'll put it back on screen for anybody who wants to see it. This is, Beryllium and the America First United Implosion. And it's from Rhetorically Defective, who I did subscribe to after, being told to go on the panel. Let me not poison the well either. I'm getting actually to be maybe too good at making enemies. And here's the thing too, like, here's a selling point for me. I'm always just going to tell you how I feel, and I'm very honest. And perhaps that means I will never be able to network very well. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to lie and omit and just pretend I didn't see that. Like, that's just not me. I refuse to do it. My audience deserves better. My audience is actually smarter than that. And I think you guys would actually catch on if I was actively not talking about certain things. So, like, oh my gosh. Hell in a handbasket, man. We'll see if he recovers. Will he bounce back? Will there be an Amy Dangerfield redemption arc? Will they make up? Maybe they'll have to, because all they'll have is each other after this. Crazy. Yeah, very shameful level of activity. It's just me and you. That's what it feels like sometimes, dude. Sometimes it feels like it's all just, every bit of it's all fake and gay. So I do appreciate you guys greatly, and again, thank you everybody for all the super chats that were sent in. And as always, he's not been in here because he's got a crazy work schedule. But shout out to the sponsor, Athenor Metallurgy. Appreciate you, brother. Custom 3D prints, as well as light boxes, and probably many other things too that you could ultimately find as well. Pause. Yeah, you can support me. You can support me at the link down here below. All the super chats, everything, obviously. And again, I put the streaming schedule out. Maybe I'll post it on X as well too. But I'll be there tomorrow. Focus trip stream tomorrow again. I'll be Sunday, probably nothing. Maybe I'll do like something super casual, like late in the evening. I don't know though. It's Mother's Day, maybe not. And then on Monday, I'll be on with Tyler Russell and Future Nation. Tuesday will be the debate. Me and Tom taking on Zeb and Virillium, I think. Was that who your partner was, Zeb? And there'll be a 2v2 debate on Nick Fuentes, Gripper World 3, Casey Putsch, Dan Bilzerian. I imagine all those topics will be discussed. And then hopefully I can get Raymond Thoughts and Minds onto my stream, or I'll go onto his. I don't really care either way. Through the week. Maybe I'll double up. Maybe it'll be on Monday with the Tyler Russell thing. I don't know. We got to get a date set. But I just wasn't free tomorrow, and he wanted to do it tomorrow, and I just couldn't. So thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate you all. Christ is King. As always, seek first the kingdom of God. Literally nothing else matters. Don't be an atheist. That is stupid. I have more respect for, I think, transgenders than I do atheists, to be honest with you. At least transgenders own it. Atheists just hide. They cower. God's not real. Yeah, I grew out of that when I was 5. Actually, I grew out of it before I was even conscious. I think my parents made sure that would never stick. But with that, appreciate it again. As always, love you guys. Any woman who's over like 150 pounds, like, you're getting deported immediately. Or, forgive me, shot from a cannon, because we don't do deportations in America, apparently. And, yeah, impeach this entire administration. Blue wave 2026, voting blue, down ticket, all the midterms, impeach these people, oversight committees, investigations, stop them. I want to see the GOP. I want to see everybody. I want to see them all shake. The left. I will see you guys next time. Wait, is this even working? There we go. I like the soundboard. I might get away with it a little bit too much. But appreciate you guys. As always, I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Peace.
Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ